Un pour tous et tous pour un. This is the motto of the musketeers of l'Empereur Léon. Hi, this is Seb with another review of the Nations of Théah. This is Book 3, Montaigne, or as they say in this beautiful country, the center of the world. In a nutshell, Montaigne is an alternate version of an idealized cinematic version of France. So it's kind of the more epic France, more musketeer-ish. It's a nation of courtly intrigue, musketeer actions, nobility versus the plebs. It is really a fantastic country if you want to do a typical 7th Sea nation, or at least start your campaign there. As a French Canadian, I have a special connection with this nation. Most of the cultural reference in the book is directly related to France, and since we're that other kind of French people, I have a special outlook on this book. I'll try to make it short and not rant too much about it. So, in this book, it can serve you as a starting point for some kind of character types, such as l'Emperor's musketeer, a noble, an assassin. You can be a duelist, a woodsman, a spy, and a sewer monster hunter, because there are things going on under the city of Charus, the capital of Montaigne. So you can be one of those poor schlubs that goes under the cities, torch in hand, expecting some creature down there and fight, and you can. It's counterintuitive, but you can do a kind of a dungeon delve in Montaigne. But still, it's not where this book is most powerful or focused. Montaigne is a larger than life culture. The nation is bigger than life, and they say that Montaignes are born with a sense of repartee that leave other nationalities speechless or stunned in disbelief or shock, because in the culture of Montaigne, the repartee or the social joust between people is like they learn that stuff while being toddlers or being a child. So every Montaigne is quite good with words and quite good at insulting people, sometimes with different level of insult within the same sentence. Kind of the real French people. Not being I don't want to be judgmental, but it's just a stereotype, of course. So it's a double-edged sword. This ability to be good at repartee can be seen as being all talk and no substance by more pragmatic nations like Heisen or Usura. But still, and Montaigne is a nation that is on the verge of a crisis, similar in scope to the Prise de la Bastille or Bastille Day or the French Revolution. In that case, it will be called the Montaigne Revolution, and there is a book with that title that is specific about what is supposed to happen if you follow the meta plot of 7C. But still, all the mines are set to blow up later, and really the Montaigne Revolution is not supposed to happen for some years. So you have a lot of leeway before hitting that subject and pushing forward the revolution if you want to do it altogether. On the cover of the book, you have three historical characters. You have Dominique du Montaigne, which is daughter of this gentleman over here, called Léon Alexandre du Montaigne the 14th. He is the emperor of Montaigne. And here is a fellow named Montaigu du Montaigne. He is a general in the army. He's kind of a part of the royal family, having his eyes on one of the daughter of the emperor, and he's not, as a stepson to the emperor, is not really liked by Emperor Leon, and he's giving him a hard time, even though he's very loyal and he's a kind of a people's hero. Concerning the meta plot in this book, the book starts, as you can see, in 1668. Currently, the Montaigne is at war with Castile, and in fact, Montaigne occupy nearly half the territory of Castile, a part that is known as occupied Castile, and also a part of the Montaigne army is also at war with Usura. To make it short about the story of Montaigne, Emperor Léon have 9 daughters and no son, no heir. And 4 years ago, he announced to the world that he is, in fact, a sorcerer and demonstrated his portée magic in public. And he told that the Vaticinate Church, have no rights to tell him what he can do or not. When he announced that, there is in Castile the city called Vaticine City, which is kind of Rome or the Vatican in our world, and they also have an inquisition that is trained to kill sorcerer because it's bad. It's a taint. It's something bad. When the emperor announced that he was a sorcerer, the Castilian Inquisition sent an army to kick his sorcerous profane ass, so to speak. And this is where an event called the Montaigu Stand happened, rising our famous young man to the rank of general later. Some years later, the Hierophant of the Vaticinate Church, which is kind of the Pope in this world, visit the emperor in Charus, and suddenly he fell ill and died. And then things start to happen to religious people and clerical kind of type of character. So they're kind of a conspiracy. Some people think there's something fishy going on there. Is it linked to the emperor? Maybe. He's one of the most hated men in the world. He have a score of reputation in the negative 100 or something like that. He's not really... he's a villain. You can make your emperor a good guy, but basically in this in this version, the emperor is really a bad guy and not someone nice. So to continue the story, our emperor is not very fond of his stepson. So he sent him up north with an army to conquer Usura, and of course he's actually currently, as you start the game, the people's hero is stuck in the Usuran frontier, not able to move his army further, because in Usura, when you attack the country, the element, the winter is against you, and his army is currently freezing his ass, and he's not going to be able to conquer this large and vast country with a handful of men. So Montaigne is a country that is in full-blown monarchy, and there is a revolution that is in the making, but it is years to come, and in your campaign you can go your own route, but even with the default assumption in the storyline, you have years to prepare that event, and your character can be a part of that revolution later. Another thing about this book, being a French Canadian, I can say that every French name in the book is wrong, kind of wrong to a French ear. An example would be the character Dominique du Montaigne. In French, it should be Dominique de Montaigne. Every du should be replaced by a de, but it's not so bad. Even to our French here, it's kind of fine. But then again, Montaigne is not really French, so this is we must accept that it's an alternate world, and we can roll with minor linguistic weakness like that. It's not so bad. It's kind of sound badass though, but if you want to have your French correct, replace du by de, and everything's going to be fine. So Montaigu de Montaigne sounds more French than Montaigu du Montaigne. And since we know that they spotted the English spy in France by a little mistake like that, it's kind of amusing to maybe put that in your game. As far as content in this book, you have a long history of Montaigne, a description of its 15 province. You have a detailed map of Charous, the capital of Montaigne, here. So you have a description of every little corner of the city, and the Emperor's Garden and castle. You have a description of the royal family and the important people in this country. It goes from l'Emperor to his wife, current wife, to his 9 daughter, to some folks hero. You have, of course, bad guys that emulate what you can see in books like the Three Musketeers. And there's even a little passage on a certain man called Jérôme. And Jérôme will have an important part in history, being just a simple man, a simple man in love with his woman, being forced to fight in the army. His destiny will be linked with future historical event, as well as a major figure in the story. The destiny spread in Montaigne uses the coin and staff of the tarot deck. There is some new rules for the party sorcery, so magic. You have some new background, like one of my favorite is the background called ridiculed. So it's kind of fun to have a character with this one. You have new schools of fighting. The boucher, which is knife using. You have the roi et reine, which is a combination of firearms and heavy weapon. You have then you have the tout près school, which is in French tout près mean very close. It's fencing mixed with dirty fighting techniques. So it's kind of a bad guy school, but I can see a hero using that type of fighting technique. You have another set of optional rules for courtly intrigue. Here you have the intrigue sheet, where you have your hero here, and you can list all your contact and create a web of contact, favor, enemies, blackmail, and you have two sheets of character to add to your character sheet. It's totally optional. Most of our game didn't use that kind of stuff. So you have you have to have maybe a game that is focused very on intrigue and a little thing like that. If you have the typical pirate game, it won't be something I would suggest in your game. Then you have some stats for monsters, and you have puzzle swords, which are kind of unique items you can find in Montaigne. So here you go. It's my rundown of this beautiful nation. It's one of the most inspiring one, and I suggest you check that out if you're interested in the 7 Seas setting. So thanks for watching.